This is our first webinar of the year, so it's my favorite webinar, 2020 in review and 2020 preview. So I'll be your host today, and Ben Ray is your presenter. Ben is an expert in all things iFormBuilder, so if you have any iFormBuilder questions, he can answer them. If this is your first time attending one of our webinars, you're in for a treat. This is my favorite webinar, as it's exciting to see what's coming this year, but it's also exciting to see everything that we did in this past year. And this past year was a little different with COVID in the mix of our world. So it's exciting to see everything that was done, even while our team worked differently. So we're really excited. We have a white label sale. So for anyone interested in purchasing an iFormBuilder white label, the time is now. So for the next 30 days, we are offering the white label with $3,000 off. So that is a great deal. This offer is only available for the next 30 days. So on the 28th of February, it'll no longer be available. But if you're unfamiliar with what a white label is, a white label allows you to add your own branding to the iForm app. You're able to have your own app icon. You're able to configure your own app settings and actually add additional configurations onto the app if you'd like to. And then what's nice is you can distribute it internally or make it available on the App Store. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to let me know in that question area, and I'd be happy to send more information to you, as well as get you in touch with your customer success manager from iFormBuilder. So we highly recommend you getting a white label, especially if you want to have your custom look and feel to the app and have easier distribution. So our agenda is simple today. We'll go through what's new from 2020 and what's coming in 2021. We'll have demos and polls throughout the whole presentation. And as I mentioned, if you have questions at any time, just put them in the question area and I'm happy to help. If I forgot to mention it in the beginning, my name's Barrett and I'm really glad that you guys are here. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ben.
Thanks, Barrett. Really appreciate you kicking this off. And I do echo your excitement as well. Obviously 2020 had its ups and downs, mostly downs in all the things that were happening in the world. And we want to change that here in 2021. And just wanted to share a little bit about us as a company here and how we've kind of adapted over the last year. Basically, half of our workforce has been remote. Since we are a tech company, we have the privilege of doing that. And obviously, when COVID hit, we all went 100% remote. So for half of us, it wasn't a huge change from our day to day. But then for the other half who was in the office full time, that was definitely a big hit, and we all had to adapt there. Just dealing with being home all the time with pets and children and everything along those lines, it was definitely a big change. Now, just as we've had to change in our personal lives, we've also had to change a little bit of what we did for our product roadmap in 2021 as well. And one of the big pieces of that was our COVID command center. We wanted to make sure that when all this stuff came out, we wanted to make sure that we can figure out how can we help our customers and others who are interested, kind of combat this pandemic and continue working, continue keeping folks safe as they are working and making a living. So we've introduced the COVID Command Center. It's up on our website. Definitely encourage you to go check it out. It has a lot of different content in there, ranging from blogs and things about how to keep safe, and then most specifically free form packages. I emphasize free because our team put a lot of time into really designing these packages here. So these are things that were came directly from the CDC. These were specific forms that they share. As you see down here, here's just a list of them, right? So persons under investigation, check-in, check-out forms. These were all really helpful in letting folks take those paper forms that were published by folks and figure out how to turn them into digital so you can store and archive that information better. Now, the one piece I wanted to highlight is the check-in, check-out form. We've actually integrated directly with a Bluetooth thermometer here. So this is for doing your surface temperatures. I actually have one here, right here. But what we did is we let this be used kind of when you're entering a facility, right, for a construction site or whatever it is, whether you're a guest or you could be, an employee. So you'd have to get your temperature taken. So they'd enter your first and last name, and then you go ahead and you basically read your temperature, and then it's going to give you, that reading. I'm 98.4, so I'm good for today, and I'm able to enter that facility. Now, let's say it was reading 103 or something. If that was the case, then it would not, would show up, pop up a message and not let you enter that. So our friends at ThermoWorks worked really hard to get those thermometers out. And if you guys remember back in March and April that you couldn't find them, and now, now they're everywhere. So we wanted to definitely make sure we can integrate with one of those. So that's been really exciting, and reach out to us if you're interested in learning more about this, and we can figure out how to get you set up on that. So again, that's been a big piece here that we worked on in 2020, and we want to continue that again here in the coming year. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit into our mobile app itself. One of the big pieces we wanted to tackle in 2020 was updating our settings screen. We want to update our UI of our entire application on the web and mobile over the coming years, but kicking that off, we see here on the mobile side, we've updated our settings screen. So on the left-hand side, we basically took this kind of to be more than a settings screen. Before it was, you just see your settings, you could turn those things on and off. And we wanted to make this more into a comprehensive menu. So basically what you'll see, you hit a hamburger menu, and then this menu slides out. And we've included a couple new sections that you may not see before. First is the account section. This account section will show you details about your user and your account. So this can be used, maybe if you're reaching out to our support team and you need to share that information with them, you can quickly see that right in here, as before you couldn't see that. So more of a reference section. We've updated our settings screen a little bit as well, where if you remember, if you use iOS versus Android, on Android all these settings would be inside of the application. On iOS you had to go where you change like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it just wasn't too smooth between both applications. So for training purposes, for consistency purposes, we wanted to make sure that that they're both in the same spot. So we've standardized that across the board. We've also added a section for connecting to external hardware, such as these thermometers or mobile printers or whatever else. You can connect to those directly through here if you use any of these hardware devices. We also moved our log out screen and stuff inside of here as well. Before this was up on the up inside of the application, so we wanted to standardize that a little more. So this is one of the screens we worked on. There's going to be more coming in 2021 that I'll talk about later, but this is what we got done on the mobile side. So moving on, I wanted to transition a little bit into our web application. This screen here, you most likely have not seen this unless you're a new trial who's recently signed up on here. But basically what this is it's a new menu that we're going to be introducing here. So the reason I'm talking about it in 2020 is because we put a lot of time and energy into this, and are working on getting this out to more users here in 2021. So previously our menu at the top, or currently it has, you see data, forms, users, company, and so on. And you hover over each of those and it exposes a couple options with each. We wanted to consolidate that into a mega menu, a more modern menu that, hence the word mega, it shows everything inside of one menu. So as you hover over this, it's going to expose this entire menu. And so if you're looking for Form Builder, you don't have to hover over data, forms, form packages, just hover here and everything's in your sites. For this menu, we've put in some dedicated sections here for form packages. Under the company piece, we've moved the analytics of your usage of your account from server admin to the company tab, and a couple small changes on that end of things. But for the most part, this is going to have the same menu options you're used to, but they're going to be exposed in a different form. So this is going to be coming here. We're going to do a poll here later and see if we can get see what folks are interested in getting access to this sooner. So along with the mega menu, there's two other pieces that we're working on that are in this new interface we're looking to release soon, and that is a user management section. So this user management section is where you're going to be is going to replace our old admin console. So that's where you used to add users, edit users, delete, and manage them. You're going to be able to do that in this new interface here. So Just a high level on this, the first thing you're going to notice is on the left-hand side, we have kind of a summary for this profile you're in, how many users you're allowed, how many users you currently have, how many are active, how many user groups, and how many policies you have, such as user admins or server admins, company admins, things along those lines. And then in the middle here, you're going to see the list of users and all the details about those users, basically in a similar view that you've seen before. And you can do single or bulk actions on all of these users. So you could click 2 or 3 users, maybe you want to assign these users to a group. You can do that right in here through a bulk action. Maybe you want to delete users in bulk, you click the ones you want and delete them. So that's one of the efficiencies that we've gained with it is doing things singularly or in a bulk type of fashion. Additionally, you're going to see a button appear in the top right for the plus button. This is how you're going to be creating users moving forward. So when you hit this button, it's going to show up a similar screen to what you're used to when you create users, but there's a couple improvements that we've added on that. First is once you create that user, you can automatically add them to a group. That would be a user group specifically. So before you had to create your user, save it, then click and go to the groups, and then add them to the groups from there. That took a lot of time if you're doing this for multiple users. So in this flow, right as you're creating the users, you can automatically add them to the group. So definitely some efficiencies gained in there. We did a demo on this, I believe, back in 2020 as this was coming out more, and we're looking to do a webinar coming up to discuss this user management module and all this stuff a little bit more. I'm going to move on here next to licensing, but before I do we have any questions on either the user management or the mega menu?
We do, Ben. So I want to reiterate some of what you said, where this is available to people who have just recently signed up for trials or have new accounts. And so if you are somebody who has a current account and you're interested in testing this out and looking at it in a little bit more detail, go ahead and sign up for a trial and test it out. And then we can talk through if you want to migrate your whole dedicated database or your whole account into using the new user management. I also want to reiterate that this is a new structure that's going to allow for custom user permissions, which was a huge request from our community and from our users. And so I just wanted to point that out because we are listening to you guys and we are trying to make sure we're creating software that is best for you guys. So Ben, going next into another question. So someone is asking, if you have different profiles, is there going to be an admin screen that will allow you to see all the users across all the different profiles, or will you still have to go into each individual profile to see the different users?
I can get you a final answer on that. I know you can manage accounts here differently, so you can go in and manage them, and then you'll be seeing the ones within that profile. But I'll have to get back to you on that. So moving on to licenses, this is going to be similar to what you've seen before. You're starting to see as I go through these last 2 slides, the UI and look and feel is very similar. Right? You have your summary on the left-hand side, your table with a variety of different options inside of here. So you're going to start seeing this, and we've done a lot of research and work on this to see how we can optimize things, and this is the UI we landed on. So this is for managing your user licenses specifically. So you'll have a list of licenses in here. So in this case, we have 4 different licenses. It's going to show a summary of your active licenses and inactive licenses. So this is something that we didn't have before. Inactive licenses are licenses that are so many days in the past that were not used. Active licenses are ones that were more recent, which are the ones we really count. So this is a filter. If you click active licenses, it shows those. If you hit inactive, it'll filter for those ones as well. So this will be really nice to start utilizing, as well as you can go ahead here and delete licenses in bulk in this fashion as well. That's something you couldn't do before. So a lot of this is the improvements are single and bulk transactions that you can do. And you can do remote wipes and other things similar to what you've done before in this licensing screen. But these last 3 pieces I showed, mega menu, user management, and licenses, are all part of this new user interface that we're going to allow folks to get access to. Okay, great. So yeah, like we said, we'll be in touch on that. The reason we're not moving everyone right away to this is there's a couple requirements and things we need to discuss with each account as we move along. So next, what I wanted to do here is talk a little bit about our Dataflow product. So Dataflow, if you have not heard of it, I'll give a quick introduction on it. Dataflow is a tool to help augment the iFormBuilder application and help integrate data that you collect into other systems. So as you'll kind of see in this screenshot here, there's a flow of data that would occur. So through Dataflow, as data is submitted, it can write to a SQL server or send data to a reporting engine, or even write data back to iFormBuilder, maybe based on a series of conditions, you want something to happen in iFormBuilder. So it's a very powerful tool our team has been using and a number of our customers have been using. And there were two big things we focused on for Dataflow in 2020. First was the stability of this application. Due to the fact that folks can write custom code in here to mess with their data, there is that when you write custom code, there is chances that errors can occur. So we wanted to ensure that we could make that as stable as possible and alert folks when errors do occur. So that's kind of where it's coming to the second portion of what we worked on, which is better visibility to errors that you can come up with. So as you're writing specific code, if an error fails, that could stop your data from flowing from iFormBuilder to SQL Server because of a coding error that was made when developing this. So basically what we're doing is we're now showing that these errors here, so you can see them right on this Dataflow screen. And then also when you open up the Dataflow, you can see those errors there as well. And then the last piece is we can also alert you via email if there is errors. So at the end of the day, you basically get a summary report of all the errors that you have in your Dataflow account, so you can look at that. Now that's really crucial because if you don't log into here every day, which most people don't once they have it set up, it's set up and it runs. If it does cause an error, that kind of alerts you to go in there and check it out and get that working. So if you're not familiar with Dataflow, I definitely encourage you to check it out. It's a good tool for integrating data from iFormBuilder to other systems. We didn't have time really in this webinar to add more and more slides to go over all the other projects and things we tackled here in 2020. So I wanted to kind of go over those just at a high level. First, on the mobile end, there were two other pieces we worked on. First is actually with our Zebra printers. I have one right here if you're interested in what these look like. But this is a Zebra printer is basically a mobile printer that you can attach to your hip or something. You might have saw them if you did a car rental, or a lot of big box stores use them for printing receipts and things like that. But we've integrated our application with this many years ago. We've optimized that improvement on how you can print, letting you print multiple copies, letting you print when you want to print on there. So definitely some improvements to that. If you're looking for a mobile printer of any aspect, definitely look at the Zebra printers. They're great for that sort of use case. We also worked on our dynamic URL. So on the mobile end, we have a way for our iForm app to talk to other applications. There were some limitations in how that worked, and we improved that directly so people can talk to things like mapping applications or FaceTime a phone number or call a phone number directly from the iForm app. We've improved that so there's no more limitations in the way that works. So that's what we worked on the mobile side. On the form builder end, there were two core pieces. These also do correlate to other parts of the application. But when you're building forms, we now allow you to disable a form. So over time, as you build forms, you may want to make a copy of that form for the next version you're working on. And when you're ready to roll out that version 2 of the form, you may want to disable version 1. So we let you go into the form builder now and hit disable on form version 1, which means people won't be able to collect data on it anymore. And you can always re-enable that if you need to bring that form back up for any reason. But it kind of lets you start to archive some of your older forms so you have them for reference later on. Another piece we worked on here is a new built-in function into the application on here. So it's called iFormBuilder.option.count. Now you may ask what that does. Basically, it takes if you had a use case where maybe you wanted to count the number of times a pass was selected in an inspection or a fail was inspected. If you have 10 questions on your form, each one with pass fail, to write a calculation to pull that or to get the number of passes versus fails was very, very difficult, right? You had to write a big if statement for all 10 questions, and it took a lot of work. Now we've consolidated that into one function where you basically call this function, say I want to look at this option and I want to count passes, and it'll output the number of passes for you or fails respectively, depending on what you're doing. So that should save a lot of time when form building and headache when looking at your JavaScript there. So I would definitely encourage folks to check that out if they have not already taken advantage of that already. On the web forms end, we focused on a couple things, but the main one is the lookup element. In 2019, we released the lookup element for our mobile devices, and we wanted to bring that to web forms as well. So that's something we tackled in 2020. The teams were really hard to get that out, and now you're going to see that the lookup element works on iOS, Android, and web forms. So if you haven't used that element yet, I believe almost 70% of our customers have used that element at one point or another from our last report, which is great to see. So the adoption is growing and growing. And the last piece, if folks have used Zapier, and Zapier is another integration tool that we partner with. They basically let you connect iFormBuilder to some other web application or vice versa, right? From some web application to iFormBuilder. And there was a limitation in that where we would not let people update records in those different types of zaps or tasks that we call them. And now we can do that inside of the Zapier application. So that was a big accomplishment there. I know some folks wanted to do that. So if you haven't heard about it, definitely you can start taking advantage of that new type of call now. So that's mainly it for what we worked on in 2020. Those are the main highlights there. Are there any questions or other points you wanted to mention, Barrett, before I move on to where we're going in 2021?
Not right now, Ben. I think a lot of people are getting excited to learn what's coming in 2021.
Okay, great. So the first thing I wanted to hop into before I go into too much stuff is a demo actually on our new thing we're working on called Data Upload. So the idea for this is that it's going to be replacing the CSV upload functionality. So if you've used our CSV upload, you know it's pretty old and outdated. It doesn't have a lot of configuration pieces to it. So we built a brand new way to upload data into the system. Right now it's just CSV, but we see a lot of potential for other data types in the future. So I'm going to hop over here to my laptop here and or to my browser, and I'm going to load some stuff in here. So first, what I want to show, and I'll zoom in a little bit. I think I'm kind of far zoomed out. So first, what I want to show is the example we're going to work on here today is a dispatch functionality. I need to log in again. And the whole idea for this is that, if I can enter my password right, let's see. All right, so the whole idea for this use case is we want to dispatch a list of tasks out to our team to work on. So typically what you do currently is you'd use our upload CSV option here, which is our older interface. You'd upload those options or upload those lists of tasks, and then you'd go through here and click which I want to assign this one to this person and these two to someone else. So you can see that gets tedious if you're working with, let's say, like 100 or so tasks you're going to be uploading every day or every so often. So I'm going to hop over into our new interface here. So I'm going to go data and upload. You're going to see this new option under here. And when we open this up, it's going to go to, again, our new interface. You're going to see that same theme across the board here with our summary across the left side, and then a table of all of your items inside of here. So what's inside of here? These are all of your previous uploads that you've tried to do. So obviously I've been using this to demo, so I've used this a good amount, but you're going to see your past uploads. So this is something new, brand new, you couldn't see before. So you can look at these past uploads and and see, you know, how successful or not they were, if there were errors and things like that. I'm not going to get too much into that. I want to really focus on how the upload works and all the new bells and whistles we've added per customer's requests. Actually, before I create this, I'm just going to show what my file looks like I'm ready to upload. So let's zoom in a little bit here. So I have a simple file here. I want to update one of these records. So I'm gonna, before you see, I guess I gotta go back to it. But the description of the current task was just clean the building. But I want to make sure that they clean the building and also check the fire extinguishers, we'll say, as a dummy example. And then these are two new tasks that we want to work on, right? We want to repair the car and we want to inspect a site. Over here is an assign field where I'm putting the usernames I'd like to assign this to. All right, so I'm going to assign this to one person, and then I'm going to assign these two to someone else. So you're seeing I'm basically filling in all the details that we need here. Now for this one record that I want to update, I'm actually passing in the record ID in here. So I'm saying record ID is 1. The ID in the system is 1. So that's the file. So let's go ahead here and create our upload. So to create our upload, similar to creating a user, you're going to go up here to the top and just press the plus button and click upload a file. And then the first thing you're going to do is you're going to select a form. So I need to make sure I have the right form. I believe I called this task dispatch. So I'm going to search for that. So now I'm selecting this form. And what I want to do here is I want to drag the CSV file I would like to utilize. So I downloaded it earlier just to make this pretty simple. So here's the file I want to utilize. And here's some other options, maybe if you have a non-traditional CSV file where you separate things by semicolons or something like that. But this is a traditional file, CSV file, so I can set these as is. So I'm going to move into the next step, which is data configuration. So one of the big changes in here that folks have, that's actually one of our most requested things, is to be able to update data when you are uploading data via CSV. So under the configuration piece is where you do that. So I can do one of two things here. I can create new records only, or I can update existing records. In my case, I wanted to do an update records as I showed here in this file. So I'm going to hit the update, and if the ID does not exist, so in my file, I have an ID here and then 2 IDs that do not exist. If that is the case, what do I want to do? Do I want to skip it, meaning just ignore this entirely, or do I want to create a new record? In my case, I want to create a new record. So I'm going to click that. Then down here below, since I hit update, this field was exposed, right? Updating existing records by ID. So if I want to update records by ID, I need to go over here, and this is going to show a list of my CSV columns. So I can just click what column I would like to utilize, which in this case is record ID. So it's going to search for any record ID that matches the data in that column. Additionally, I also want to assign records at the same time. So I'm going to pick my assign record column here. And this does not have to be the user ID. This can be the user name. So we're making it really simple there based on the username. So just to review here, I want to update records. I want to update them by the ID, and I want to assign them based upon my assign record column. And then next, I want to move over into data mapping. So this is important here because this is where you basically say what fields from your form map to what columns in the CSV. And as I mentioned earlier, that you couldn't map before, right? You had to match up the names exactly, right? Work order date, description of task, address of task, all these had to be the same headers in your file. So now they don't. If the headers do happen to be the same, we're automatically going to fill this in. So in this case, address of task is the same as in my CSV file. So it was automatically filled in. I didn't have to even do anything there. But for date, I have a different name for date. I called it just date. And for description of task, I just called it description. So I'm going to map those here respectively. And after that, we're pretty much good to go on this. We're going to be updating the records. And I can move over into my advanced settings here, which is this last portion. These are some other configurations that folks had requested. So the first one is run post-processing. you want to turn this on here if you want it to maybe, if you have endpoints set up or integration set up, you want to turn that on afterwards, because once it's done uploading, it'll post-process those records, send any emails that are associated, and so on. Another option here is to send an email upon completion. So in this case, I click that. I want it to email myself just when it's done. If I'm uploading, 5 or 10,000 records, it's going to take some time. So it's better that I just leave and come back and get an email when it's done. And then the last piece here is, do we want to store the file on the server for future use? It'll be stored here for 7 days. Maybe if you upload this, you just want to keep it stored in there instead of storing it on your own computer. It's going to be accessible there for everyone. So I'm going to turn on all 3 of these options. At this point, I'm just going to hit submit. And now it's going to go ahead and upload this data. And you're going to see it added a new row right here for this new file I just uploaded and the upload status. So let's just refresh this here and see what happens. So since I only had 3 records, it was done really quickly, but we're going to see that we have 3 records completed here. 2 records were new, 1 was updated, and everything was successful here. So that's great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hop over back into our data, and we're going to see what happened there on that end. So if you remember before, I had 1 record in here, and now I happen to have 3 records in here. So the record in here, the first one I had was ID 1. So now it's updated to clean the building and check fire extinguishers, assigned to this user. And then here's the 2 new ones I created. Those are now assigned to the user that I wanted to assign them to. So you can start to see how through one upload, you can save a lot of time doing other things, or instead of going through here and assigning these manually. These are automatically going to be assigned. So get up in the morning, upload all your tasks, it's assigned to all of your team, and then they can start their day. So that's one use case for data upload. I'm sure folks are going to have more, and we're excited to hear more about those as those happen. So I'm going to move back here to the presentation, and we'll continue on. Are there any questions or things that people want to learn more about in data upload?
There are, Ben. So one question is, how will this work with the optionless fields? Do you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah. So optionless, it's going to work the same as it worked with the original CSV upload. You need to basically make sure that your option list, it's the key values match as before, and it'll upload successfully.
All right, perfect. The other question is, someone was looking at this table and they were wondering why there were hyperlinks on some of the files and then there weren't on others. I know you talked a little bit about this, or it was one of the 3 options. So if you just want to reiterate that, that'd be great.
Yeah, good question. And I'll maybe just use this one here as an example. There's 2 things, right? This hyperlink here is for downloading the CSV file. In these options, I said, save that file on the server, so it's going to be shown there. In this case, someone chose not to save the file on the server, so it's not shown. So it's all dependent upon that. You're also going to see another option here for a download error if there is errors. So if there is errors in your upload, you can download this and actually see a summary of your errors and know why it failed. That's definitely one big improvement from before. We had a pretty generic error message when it failed. And now you can see, per record, what failed and why did it fail, and that'll help debug things some more.
Great. And just a little bit of a follow-up about the hyperlink and how you can download the file and how it's available for 7 days. Is there any sort of countdown to let somebody know, this is only going to be available for 1 more day, or is it just hopefully you already recognize that this is how much time you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's based on the upload date, so there's no countdown on that. We do that more as a convenience if you want to access it in the short term. So if you want to save it for longer than 7 days, I'd recommend you store it on your own machine or some storage that lasts longer.
Great. And then the last question that came in a couple times is just, when is this available?
Yeah, good question. So this is going to be available when we move everyone, or when we move your account to the new pieces I was looking at earlier with the user management screen here. So this has been tested and vetted through our team. So I think definitely if you answered yes to that, if you did not answer yes to it, certainly reach out to us and we'll get started on that. But once we upgrade your account to this new environment, then you'll be able to get access to this.
Okay, so just to be very clear, you have to have the new interface, the mega menu and the user management and licenses to then also have this.
That's
so
correct.
it's in everyone's best interest to start planning ahead and thinking about when can they upgrade to that new interface if they want to use the data upload.
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. All right, well, that's it for now, Ben. Thank you.
Okay, great. So a couple other things here I wanted to talk through. One of the other big things our team's been working on and we're hoping to have ready here within the next month or two is our web forms public links. So I'm super excited about this. This is going to be, I really think, a game changer. This is one of the things that kind of shifted in our roadmap in 2020 a little bit with the pandemic. We've seen more folks have been wanting to collect data from others who are not users. And that's really where this public links piece comes in. If you're not familiar with web forms, our web forms application is basically the same exact form you have on your mobile device. We allow you to fill it out on the web. And traditionally, you have to log in with your username and password to get access to that. But we want to bring to life public link functionality, which means you can have that form you created and then share it with anyone who can get access to this link. So what you're going to see here, we'll have an option in the form builder that when you click it, it'll let you share this link or this form to someone. So when you do that, you have two options here, right? You can set this as with a password. So you can turn it on and say, I kind of want some security. So it'll be like a simple password that you want to share with others. Or you can choose to have no password. If you have no password, by taking this link, it's going to automatically open the form and load it in there. You can fill it out, and all that data is going to be submitted back to that same data table other users can submit data to in there. So I believe Barrett's going to be sending out a link to folks here just to see the public link, and we'll also follow up with that link as well, so you can click on it and load it and see what it looks like on there as well. So we don't have too much time here to do a demo today, but you can kind of open it up and explore it on your own.
Right, so Ben, I put two links in the chat, one that goes into our Customer Success Center, into the forum, talking about public links, and then another one which actually goes into a simple public linked form that was created. The form was built within iFormBuilder and then just shared it and didn't have a password with it, so people can test it out.
Great. So my last point I have on public links here is this is something that, like I said, should be coming to life here in the next 2 months or so. It is going to be a paid feature based on the number of transactions or records that you submit. So, when you submit one record, that counts as, one transaction. So we'll be revealing what those details look like in different tiers that are available there. But we do want to bring this to everyone by giving them a small allocation. But then if you use it, over that smaller allocation, then that'll be paid there. So stay tuned to what that looks like, and we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. So I wanted to transition now into our API. If you're not familiar with API, it's a way to basically through code do all the different tasks and things that folks do on the web application. But we are introducing an API version 8. We currently have API version 6 released. We released that many years ago now. So we've been working really hard on API version 8. There's not a whole lot of changes in terms of different types of APIs that you can call, but what we've really focused on is the speed of this API. I believe it's like 50 to 70% faster than our previous API. I know we've had a number of complaints about the speed of API 6. So when that comes out here in 2021, API 8 should not be a concern in terms of speed. On our end, we've made this easier to make changes on our end even faster. You see we did API 6 probably 5 years ago now, and now we just got API 8, right? That took a long time to get there. But with this new framework we have in place, we'll be able to move from API 8 to 9 to 10 much faster, just due to the hard work we put in here in the last year. Also with that comes improved error messaging. Before, our error messages on the API were on API 6 are pretty vague, right? It says something failed. It doesn't give you a whole lot of detail. That was another complaint of it that we wanted to address. So now we give you more error messages saying specifically what field failed, why that failed, so it should help debugging certainly as well. So look for that coming here in the coming months as well. That's been something our teams worked hard on last year and this year as well. Switching gears to the mobile side here, on this end, we, like I talked about earlier when I showed the settings screen or the menu, we also want to work on our two other pieces of the mobile UI. So first on the left here is our forms list screen. This is how it looks today. We want to see kind of what upgrades we can have in that as we improve that UI. So this is where you view all your list of forms that are assigned to you. So maybe we'll let you do like side-by-side forms or something like that, maybe more like it looks on iPad, on the iPhone. We're still working through what those all are going to look like. Additionally, we're looking at ways to improve our record list view. So we did add a little bit of more bells and whistles to our record list view here, but we want to improve this table here to bring it up more to a new modern look and feel, and have it align across iOS and Android. So those are two core components of the mobile UI we want to improve here in the coming months. Along with that, I wanted to kind of transition here for the last part of this into our community requests. Community requests are really, really big to us. In the past, you may remember some of our feature frenzies and things we've done where people can vote and get a feature implemented. And we've kind of taken that to a different level in the last year and this year, is where we're basically going ahead and looking at what things are the most voted, and we're just going ahead and doing this. We're not waiting for folks to go ahead and do a feature frenzy and stuff. We're going to just start tackling those things. So the next couple things I'm going to go over are all directly from the community, what you all have voted on. And the first one is really near and dear to me, which is our new options for media storage. So right now we currently support Dropbox and Box as our two main options for media storage, or our iFormBuilder storage engine. But we've seen a number of requests for three core pieces of it, right? First is SharePoint. So folks want to view or store their media, so images, drawings, audio, signatures, all that stuff in SharePoint, Google Drive, or OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive. So these are three new core engines we want to add to how media can be stored. Along with that, it's not just storing of collected media, it's also referencing assets that you may have in, let's say, Google Drive. Maybe you have a PDF in Google Drive, you want to show that on a form for reference, right? Maybe it's a sheet or something that is helpful. You can put a PDF in Google Drive, then you'll be able to reference that PDF and show it in all of your forms. Same thing for form icons and all these other image assets you may have in one location. You can use that. So look for that coming. That's going to require a lot of work on our mobile end as well as our web end. So we're really excited to get this one out the door. Another community request is our drawing element as well. So the drawing element we introduced probably a good many years ago, and basically it hasn't been touched a whole lot since, right? There's been some bug fixes and little things along those lines, but we haven't done a full improvement to that. So we really want to overhaul our drawing element by adding a couple core things to it. First is the ability to auto open the camera. So we've seen folks that basically use the drawing element, they take a photo and then they draw on it. But it's kind of tedious the way it is now, right? You have to open it up, you have to click the camera button, then take the photo, hit apply. We want to supplement all that stuff and just automatically go straight to the camera for just a basic usability improvement there. Another piece is custom icons. So you can draw a box around something or a circle. These are some standard icons that we have. Customers wanted to allow ways to put in their own icons, right? Maybe it's a company logo you want to place places, or a pin you want to drop on. If this is background's a map or something like that, we want to allow you to specify many custom icons. This goes hand in hand with the last improvement here, right? The media storage. Let's say you have icons in Google Drive or OneDrive, you can have them appear inside of this drawing element is the goal. Another piece here is we want to let you specify your own background image. So this has been one of the top voted ones in terms of drawing element, but basically folks want to look at putting, if you're in like the healthcare space, maybe a picture of the human body, and you can circle the issues that it has, or the surgery that's happening, or maybe in the vehicle inspection space, you do an outline of a car. Previously, you have to, or currently, you have to basically select that icon, show it on the screen, and then annotate on it. We want to let you pre-fill that as the background. So that should save some time out in the field and make this definitely more usable. The last two pieces, we want to allow you to zoom in on the drawing to get a little more detail, and we're focusing this on the iOS and Android application. We're not doing this on web forms for one core reason. We see there's a lot of different drawing applications on laptops where folks are most likely using web forms that they can annotate on that image and then upload that on web forms. So for now, we're not venturing into that space, but look for this coming on iOS and Android soon. Are there any questions here before we move on to the other mobile projects, Barrett?
Ben, there are, and it actually goes back to the API. People are wondering if they have to update from API 6 to 8, and if so, what is there going to be a time that API 6 is not being supported?
I'm sure in the future there will be. At the moment, we do not have any plans. Like we've done with previous API upgrades, if we do that, that is going to be a something that we give plenty of notice for and start working with folks. But at the moment, there is no plans for that.
Thanks, Ben. That's it for now.
Okay. So two other pieces. Again, these are all under the community forum here that we want to work on. So the first is rapid fire photos. We have folks who want to basically take a lot of different photos at one time. Instead of taking a photo, hitting done, going to the next element, that gets very, very tedious, right? In this vehicle inspection space, you might want to just take 10 photos of the car and then say, I want these 5, and move on. That can be much faster and let you focus on getting that work done instead of looking at your phone, clicking all of the done buttons every time. So that's something we worked really hard in 2020 to put a good framework in for that, and this will allow us to take many photos, either through the image element or maybe a new element we put together. We still have to decide all that. And then I think this is actually the top voted one currently on the mobile end, which is unselectable headers in the option list. So if you're familiar with our option list or pick list now, it's just a straight list of all different colors. There's no segments or breaks in that. The idea here is to make certain options as headers only, right? So in this case, instead of primary colors being an option you select, it's just the header. It's not selectable, but it is part of this list here. And this makes sense in the scenario of maybe you have car makes and models, or in this case, colors, right? Primary, secondary, neutral, and so on. So we're really excited to get this one out here and see how folks are using that. This will be configured inside of the form builder. So that's really it for the the upcoming plans here. And I do want to mention, I know this may not seem like a lot of things, but I assure you, on 2020 we are working on a number of things, and that's going to continue happening in 2021. We only plan so many months out, just like we said, because things do change, right? I mean, last year obviously everyone's whole world was uprooted, and we hope none of that happens in 2021. But things do change, customer requests come in, and change some of that roadmap. So we wanted to share what we're planning on working on, and we hope these are all things people are looking for, and we'll love to keep working with folks in the future to discuss more things to work through. I see we might have a question or two here, Barrett.
We do, Ben. One of the questions is inline editing being considered at all, or editable tables for subforms?
It is partially. We're working through, I think I showed the mobile UI improvements. We're working through different screens of the UI. So that's something that we will get to when we get to the main forms or main elements list screen on there. Okay,
and then another question, or actually really comment, and it leads us into this next poll, but someone is extremely excited for the rapid fire for the photos, and I'm glad to hear that. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll, and if people could put in their response, that would be great. I will go ahead and close the poll, and I'll share those results so that others can get an idea of the interest level as well. It's nice to see that we're on the right track with some of these.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So for those of you interested, we do have our next certification coming up. It's March 9th through the 12th. There are 4 2-hour sessions, and they do require that you complete a project at the end. And this is a great way to get everyone on your team up to speed with using the platform and get some real strong experts within your company. So I strongly suggest that you look into having some people attend. I put the sign up sheet or sign up registration within the chat section for everybody. In the next 48 hours, we will send out the recording as well as additional resources, and we'll be in touch. And if you want to talk more about what it takes to get your account into using the new interface, we'll definitely talk through all of that. Thank you all and have a great day.